Okay, let's jump into it. So we're pretty much sort of moving through the sort of Asia session now, sort of almost sort of coming out to a bit of the tail end. It's about 20 to 2 sort of local time here, Melbourne. But first thing that I'll just jump straight into is this DXY move, because obviously we got that large gap up yesterday morning. And generally with these things, I mean, 9 out of 10 times you'll see the gap close within the session. And as you see, we've sort of got a bit of a breakaway gap here. I don't count this little drop down here as closing the gap because, as I say, sort of like if you look at a bunch of different feeds from different people and that, this doesn't show across the board on it all. So I'm not quite sure. And also, when you really zoom in on these, if you, I mean, put it on a 2 minute thing here, you can see that this is obviously just some sort of, I don't know, glitch or something because it's obviously gone down straight back up. I mean, it's not going to move. What's this? Yeah, 0.5% in that, and then back up within one second. So um, anyway, that's just a little gap that was sort of left behind. We did do the same when we were up the very top, where we had a bit of a gap that never really closed. Even just looking at this now, it almost looks like we had a bit of a gap here that didn't quite close either. But yeah, there was a, where was it? Maybe way back up here. Oh geez, shows how far it's come down. But yeah, so this gap back up here, which sort of had marked at the time, that never came back up to close. So you do have the possibility of having these sort of runaway gaps, but generally, as I said, 9 out of 10 times they'll close. So it's a bit surprising to. So I'm just going to find out where the hell we are now. Here we go. To sort of find out sort of whether we're going to sort of get this to sort of come back and close this at all. So I had a little bit of data out overnight, which it sort of it knocked the USD down a little bit. We had it was Empire State Manufacturing, and it got absolutely hammered. So where are we here? So I'm just going to upload these ones here, but 14.5 previously. We can look through here. You can sort of get a little sort of breakdown of what it is as well. But negative 14.5, sorry. So they're expecting a tick up, still in the negative 4.3. It went the other way and massively the other way, negative 43.7. So, I mean, the initial reaction with this was fairly muted kind of thing, but it certainly was, excuse me, short-term negative for US dollar. And if we have a look at the reaction here, it was this period just through here, and it sort of just got absolutely sort of hammered down. But of course, it just as quickly brought back up and did a couple of fake moves a couple of times here. But obviously, it's still managing to sort of keep buying these dips each time and sort of keep sort of pushing up. And we're starting to see a little bit of a sort of trend that it sort of formed through yesterday, sort of break to the downside here. But again, DXY's got one of these things where it sort of can look very much in one direction. Technicals, yep, it's set up here. And as I said, like they never say that this is easy to do. And so DXY is one of those ones when it looks almost too obvious that it's going to break one way, that's when they'll rip it the other way. And this is what I was saying with the it was the diamond top before it sort of extended on and then just kept on sort of pushing to the top side. But certainly even just this morning we had a bit of China data out, and the China data sort of seemed to firm things up a little bit and sort of push US dollar down. But again, we're seeing it just bought straight back up, and it sort of seems to be finding a bit of a bit of support on these previous lows that we had sort of marked out over here as well. So certainly still on catching the bid at the moment, but you want to sort of see it really sort of come in and take out these wicks if we're going to see any sort of substantial sort of cooling, because at the moment it's looking very much like any time they have a chance to buy it a bit cheaper, bang, they push it back up. These dips aren't really coming too far down, so there's certainly still looking to drive it a bit higher. So in terms of sort of what to look for with this, we've got a little bit of a sort of downward channel in just this little short term coming through from 5 o'clock this morning. So really tail end of the US session. So it's not a great deal you can take with that, because generally if you had the volume on this, you'd probably see the volume sort of really sort of dipping down as well. It's given it a chance to sort of cool off a little bit. We did have a little bit of have a look at this now. So we'll see if we can see it on the 1 hour as well. But certainly price is showing a little bit of divergence here. As you can see, price, oh, go on. So you can see price sort of, through these periods of these highs here and here, you're certainly not getting that sort of reflected the same coming down here. So this is through that same period. So that in itself gives a little bit of a negative divergence. But as I said, it's a bit hard because DXY is really just so much getting bid, and like because it's sort of consolidated for a week and a few days, there's a lot of pent up volume that gets bought into those positions. So that's why sort of when you get the pops of these ranges, it's not just people going, okay, here's confirmation, let's buy, jump on board. You've also got the other side of the market that will try and get short on it, and they're going, okay, look, if it breaks the range, I'll just get out. And if they're short, they've got to buy back their positions, and that's more buying power, and that's generally what will give that extra push and kick along through there. But in terms of sort of what to look for with this now, we are, as I said, seeing a little bit of a downward channel coming through here, but we are oversold, and obviously this reaction here shows that they're still willing to buy it quite significantly off a moment's notice and that. And obviously this is a bit of a previous sort of resistance we can see through here, acting as support now. So I think that if you can take out these wicks here. Won't see them come on, that's right. If we take out these wicks here at sort of 103.26, I think we could see a little bit more sort of cooling through the session. If we do sort of pop out to the top side here, I mean, there's a couple of little smaller zones and that sort of coming through here, but realistically, if you want to sort of pop in a new high, you go above here, and I would say that's your sort of that's your breakout area to see another leg to push up to the top side. I think it was 104 that we had marked out as a sort of higher area of sort of resistance, so all the way up over here. So certainly if it does get on for another push, we could be seeing another little move to the top side. Just a little quick measured move through this period here, which sort of show, get that arrow off, would give us. Alright, sorry about that. So yes, if we do get a break of these highs, there's a good chance I think sort of 103.58, 103.60 would probably be your next little price target just going through here, just based on the measured move of this little push up here and the consolidation to give it a bit of a flag pattern going through there. Downside, as I said, below this here, we have sort of gone through what is seemingly a little bit of a short-term trend, but I would say realistically, you probably could sort of find something a bit more, maybe along these sort of lines here, sort of with a downside target, sort of coming back down here. This little orange line through the middle here, that's the NFP highs. So as you can see, as it broke through, came back tested it, and used it for a little bit of a launch pad to move off again. So we'll see how that goes through there. And resulting factors of those moves, we saw gold take a bit of a beating. So you can see where it sort of tried to come down. This is what I was mentioning. What was it, 43? I thought might get a bit of a touch up if we gave away the 47, 48 level. Obviously, it pretty much just cut through this. We did have that little bit of a spike around this period here, and this was that NFP period. Sorry, not NFP, the Empire State period, when that data did come out. And if you get down on lower time frames, you can see it gave it quite a solid push to the top side here. So people are willing to buy it if they're given the right sort of circumstances. But certainly, what I mean, that was quite sold into quite heavily. There was also a little bit of commentary out from one of the Fed speakers at 3 o'clock local time for us, and that absolutely demolished things. And I'll get to Aussie in 1 second. You can see the reaction with that because it was just sort of like, they were just waiting for it. And as soon as those comments came out, it was like 20, 30 points in one drop there. I mean, if we have a look at the reaction here, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, this is when the comments came out here. So we went 41 down to 32, so $9 move. And this is on a 15-minute candle. Obviously tried to regain and then just boom, gave away. So yeah, gold certainly back on the back foot here, back into the sort of previous kind of little chop range that we did have going on. If you did want to sort of look for any kind of recovery effort, I wouldn't really be sort of thinking about it till we can kind of get through, maybe sort of mid 30s again. But certainly at the moment here, this is the second rally attempt to try and get up over here. We obviously sort of came up to these wick highs, so there's around those 60s, and yeah, it's just been smacked on the nose. So till DXY sort of chills out a little bit, gold's certainly on the back foot. We've got a little bit of a sort of rising support coming through here. So if we can see this pop and then sort of go through the lows, that's going to be confirmation of a little bit more of a move down. Probably realistically to sort of test these sort of like 2015, 2016 levels. That would give you a little bit of maybe a bear flag through this period as well. That sort of seems to line up again, sort of down this. I think I've taken it off, but we got a pretty much a bear flag somewhere through one of these periods that gave us back down into this level here. So we've seen this sort of, we had a marked out, we said, look, when it comes back here, boom, fires off. So we know that the buyers are around here. So the way that you need to play these ones are, obviously, yeah, you can jump on board, you can be one of the buyers once we get down to these levels. But if we see that the buyers aren't at this level, then you're going to see this bail down and probably going sub 2000 if 2015 breaks. Again, a lot of it really comes down to what they're going to do with DXY. If they continue to rip that up, if we see a bit more of a sort of US dollar sort of wrecking ball like we did last 3 months, last 3 months, sort of for 3 months and then in the sort of first quarter of the financial year, then yeah, certainly there's some downside pressure going to be applied to gold. Flip across to Aussie, trading very, very heavy. There's I thought it would have come back through this period here. Obviously, had this one sort of marked out. So look, these are where the buyers are going to be stepping in. And for a moment there, I was like, hey, here we go, bang. We had a little bit of China data that got us this spike that came up as well. That was sort of it wasn't data, sorry. It was just speculative talk that they may be sort of dumping a whole heap of bonds, special bonds, I think they called it. So a bit of sort of cash going into the system. That got an initial push. Aussie jumped 20 points off that, but as you can see, bang, sold into. And it sort of came around here. I was trying to hold this sort of 90s around the sort of the handle for a little bit here. As you can see, a few rally attempts getting higher and higher. I was giving it a good effort. This little candle push up here was through the Empire State. So you can see the market was wanting to react to it all, but of course, bang, as the US dollar just gets bought up on the dips, it just sort of kept ripping up through. And this little candle coming down through here, that was the commentary of that Fed speaker, sort of saying that sort of like, to me it didn't seem too bad for it all, but like it was basically along the lines of, that he's, sorry, one sec. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, basically along the lines that he was, sorry, that they're not going to be sort of too brazen or too wild with their cuts. Obviously, still the commentary of like, oh, it's going to be data dependent. So obviously, with that, you want to see CPI actually not push up. You want to see that sort of come down a little bit more. But they said, look, there's no reason to sort of push it as hard or as fast as we have in the past. So yeah, that's the reaction, as you can see right there, was just bang. Got reversed very quickly, but again, still trading very heavy and coming to the downside here. As we see DXY break that little short-term trend, we're seeing Aussie break that little short-term trend as well. We've got a little bit of a back test here now. This morning, again, we had some China data coming out, the GDP. That got a little push for a second, and again, just getting hammered into. So there's a tiny little zone that I'd be happy to sort of call through here. We are seeing slight little high lows there, but not really. But yeah, I mean, you want to get back above that 66 handle. I mean, there's a lot of work for Aussie to do all the way down here. But in terms of short-term intraday trade, above this sort of 65.95, this little morning's wick high, we are out of this little channel. So if this can sort of push up here, then we could sort of see a little bit of an attempt of a rally work up here. But realistically, you've got a lot of sort of areas above which are going to provide sort of resistance and downside moves. So if we are to sort of see something along these lines here. So yeah, it's certainly it's got a lot of work to do. And jump across, we got copper. Copper, it got out of this little short-term sort of short-term downturn channel it was sort of playing around with, but it is just not really going anywhere. As you can see, it's almost pretty much just rolling over again to sort of come back down and test these lows through this morning, through the start of the week. If we do, then we've failed to sort of continue this channel. I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking down at sort of maybe 369 as a bit of punishment, particularly if we break through this area here. So we've got a bit of a confluence here because we've got the sort of horizontal plus the bottom side of what would be this little channel. But the fact that it couldn't come up and touch the top side of here shows that it's basically an early sign that you're sort of going to see a break of the actual channel. So it's just something to look out for as it sort of comes up. But even as we're looking at it now, if you were to sort of call some sort of maybe little support through here, it seems to be breaking down even further here, really. And finally, because of China got its breakout. It completed its measured move, as you can see up here, from this little triangle break with a little back test. Everything's sort of coming up along the top here. So now you got to look at this with China. As I said, we had a little bit of data out this morning, which has probably sort of slowed it a little bit. But we're very much in this little consolidation. This is a big, strong breakout candle. If they flip this and then sort of pop going up the top here, then obviously that's going to put the pressure on Aussie, going to put the pressure on copper, and obviously that'll be a DXY sort of breaking out a little bit further as well. We are still quite overbought. This is on the daily. So we're overbought with this breakout here. So it might be due for a little bit of a cooling. Might sort of come back down, maybe retest a bit of this breakout area. But again, it's sort of like, I think very much you got to sort of accept that this was the consolidation. It tried, a couple of solid times to get down underneath here. We said, that this is going to be very hard. This is a weekly support area, and it's going to be very hard to sort of get through here. But as you can see, it has. So that's fine. I mean, we're still working off the idea that we could be seeing this large head and shoulders play out. And realistically, it just means it's moving up into that right shoulder now. So if we start to get back up above sort of through 727, then you might have something to sort of think, okay, what's going on here? But at a little bit of this falling resistance, break, back test, that was your early indicator, and it's obviously just powered on a little bit through there. So we'll just have to sort of see how this sort of plays out over the next couple of days. All right, that's about it from me.